The first time someone almost discovered the truth, I was standing in line at a grocery store holding a credit card that I knew would probably decline. The woman behind me had a cart overflowing with organic groceries. The cashier scanned my items one by one: eggs, bread, peanut butter, and a cheap frozen pizza. $22. I slid the card across the counter and forced a casual smile. For a moment, the machine stayed silent. Then it beeped. Processing. I could feel the sweat gathering under my collar. If this card declined, I had one more. And if that one failed, I didn't know what I'd do. The cashier glanced up at me. Approved. My lungs finally released the breath I'd been holding. Behind me, the woman sighed impatiently as I grabbed the bag and walked out of the store like nothing had happened. Like I wasn't one failed transaction away from my entire life falling apart. Because here's the part no one knew. On the outside, my life looked successful. I had a nice apartment in downtown Austin, Texas. A marketing job at a growing tech company. Weekend brunch photos on Instagram. A girlfriend who told everyone I was going places. My parents bragged about me to relatives. My friends asked me for career advice. But none of them knew the truth. I was drowning in debt. And every single day, I lied to keep it hidden. The whole thing started 2 years earlier. Back then, life actually was good. I had just landed a marketing position at a fast-growing startup called Brightwave Analytics. The office was modern, glass walls, standing desks, cold brew on tap. Everyone talked about stock options and disrupting the industry. My starting salary was $82,000. For a 27-year-old who had spent years barely scraping by after college, it felt like winning the lottery. So I did what a lot of people do when they suddenly start making money. I upgraded everything. I moved into a nicer apartment. I leased a new car. I bought better clothes so I looked the part. At first, it felt amazing. Until 6 months later, when everything started to crack. The first crack came quietly. One Monday morning, our CEO called an all-hands meeting. Everyone gathered in the conference area, coffee cups in hand. The CEO smiled too much. That's always a bad sign. We're making some strategic changes, he said. Whenever a tech CEO says strategic changes, people start checking LinkedIn. 2 weeks later, half the company was laid off, including me. I remember walking out of the building holding a cardboard box with my desk plant and a framed photo of my girlfriend, Rachel. The HR manager kept repeating the same phrase. This isn't about performance. But that didn't matter. I was unemployed. And my entire lifestyle had been built around a salary that no longer existed. At first, I wasn't worried. I had savings. About $18,000. Plenty of time to find another job. Or so I thought. Job searching turned out to be slower than I expected. Weeks passed. Then months. Interviews came and went. Companies loved my resume, but someone always had more experience. Meanwhile, the bills kept coming. Rent, $2,100. Car payment, $480. Insurance. Utilities. Groceries. Student loans. My savings started shrinking. $18,000 became $12,000. Then $9,000. Then $6,000. And that's when I made the first decision that would eventually trap me. I decided not to tell anyone. Not my parents. Not my friends. Not even Rachel. Especially not Rachel. Rachel believed I was ambitious. Stable. Reliable. She had grown up in a house where money was always tight, and she once told me something that stuck in my head. I just want a partner who has their life together. So when she asked how work was going, I smiled. Busy, I said. And that was the first lie. Every morning after that, I kept up the routine. I woke up at 7 a.m., showered, put on business clothes, grabbed my laptop bag, and went to work. Except I didn't. Instead, I spent my days in coffee shops applying for jobs. or sitting in my car in random parking lots trying to quiet the growing anxiety in my chest. At night, Rachel would ask about my day. I'd tell her about fake meetings, fake deadlines, fake office drama. The lies started small. But once you start lying like that, the stories multiply. Because lies require maintenance. And maintenance requires more lies. 3 months later, my savings hit zero. That's when the credit cards came in. At first, it felt temporary. Just a bridge until I found another job. Groceries. Gas. A few bills. But interest piles up faster than you think. Soon I had 3 cards nearly maxed out. Then 5. I began moving balances around like a desperate magician trying to keep plates spinning. Rachel never noticed. Or at least, I thought she didn't. One night, we were having dinner at her apartment. She had cooked pasta and opened a cheap bottle of wine. "So," she said casually, twirling spaghetti on her fork, "my coworker's boyfriend just got promoted." "Nice," I said. "Yeah. They're thinking about buying a house." I forced a smile. "That's a big step." She looked at me thoughtfully. "Where do you see us in a couple years?" The question landed like a weight in my stomach. Because in that moment, I realized something terrifying. She was imagining a future with a version of me that didn't exist. "Maybe a house," I said slowly. "Maybe." She smiled. And I hated myself for it. The job search dragged on. 4 months. 5. My debt climbed past $20,000. Then $30,000. Collection emails started arriving. At first they were polite reminders. Then warnings. Then threats. Still, I told no one. Because by then, the truth felt impossible to explain. How do you admit that the successful, responsible version of yourself everyone believes in is fake? The second close call happened on a Saturday. Rachel and I were out with friends at a bar downtown. Laughter, music, glasses clinking. For a few hours, I almost forgot about the debt. Then the bill came. Rachel nudged me playfully. "Your turn tonight." Everyone looked at me. My heart began pounding. The bill was $146. I pulled out my wallet slowly. Inside were 3 credit cards. 2 of them were maxed out. The third had maybe $300 left. Maybe. I handed it to the waiter and prayed. He walked away. Those 30 seconds felt longer than the entire evening. Then he came back. Card accepted. Relief flooded my chest so hard I nearly laughed. But Rachel was watching me. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I said quickly. "Why?" "You just looked stressed." I shrugged. "Work stuff." She didn't push further. But something about the way she studied my face made my stomach twist. Because for the first time, I had the feeling she might be starting to see through me. 2 weeks later, everything got worse. I woke up one morning to a notification on my phone. My bank account was overdrawn by $412. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then another email arrived. Subject line: Final notice before collection action. My chest tightened. Because that email wasn't the scary part. The scary part was what came next. The message said if I didn't make a payment within 7 days, they would contact my employer, which would have been bad. Except for one problem. I didn't have an employer. And if anyone started digging into that, every lie I'd built my life on was about to collapse. I wish I could say that's when I told the truth. That's when I asked for help. But instead, I made the worst decision of my life. Because 3 days later, I did something desperate. Something illegal. Something I told myself I would only do once. And that decision set off a chain of events that would destroy my relationship, my reputation, and almost land me in prison. 3 days after that final notice, I found myself sitting in a cramped office at Vertex Solutions, a mid-sized marketing firm that had just posted a temporary contract opening. I needed money fast. Desperate people make reckless choices. I knew that. But I didn't care. The hiring manager, a sharp-eyed woman named Clara, barely glanced at my resume. "You can start tomorrow?" she asked. I nodded. "Absolutely." The next morning, I walked into the office, my chest tight with nerves. I was careful not to think about the credit cards, about the overdraft, about the final notice that still sat unread in my inbox. For a week, I kept my head down, delivering reports, answering emails, making it look like I was completely competent. Then one day, Clara called me into her office. "I have a small favor," she said. I leaned forward, ready to say yes. She smiled. "We have a client account that's technically off the books. They want some creative reporting. Can you handle that?" I blinked. Creative reporting? My gut twisted. But my bank account twisted harder. "Of course," I said. It started small. Shifting numbers around here and there. Inflating campaign reach. Fudging a few graphs. No one noticed. And each time I did it, I told myself, just a little longer. Just until I get back on my feet. Meanwhile, Rachel started noticing the cracks. "Why do you always have to work late?" she asked one Thursday night. "Big project," I said, sipping coffee to hide my nerves. "You're always tired," she said, studying my face. "Something's off." "I promise," I said. "I'm fine." She let it go. For now. But the tension was building. Every lie I told her now felt like a live wire ready to snap. The first major twist came unexpectedly. A month into the contract, one of the client accounts I had adjusted, exploded, financially, not publicly. One day, I logged into the reporting dashboard and saw it, a 70% revenue discrepancy. I froze. Somewhere along the way, my tiny manipulations had compounded. The numbers no longer added up. And if Clara noticed, I could lose everything. Maybe even face legal trouble. I stayed late that night, frantically correcting data, sweating through my dress shirt. My phone vibrated constantly with Rachel's texts. "Are you coming home soon? You didn't eat dinner? Please tell me you're okay." I lied. Again. "I'm just finishing up a big project," I typed back. But the truth was worse than I'd imagined. The discrepancy wasn't just a mistake. Someone had started tracing it, and soon I realized the company might be audited. Panic set in. Then came twist number 2. Rachel found a small envelope in my apartment, one I had hidden under the sink. It contained credit card statements, collection notices, and a check from a loan I had taken from a sketchy online lender. Her face went pale when she saw it. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked quietly, tears in her eyes. I didn't want to worry you," I said. My voice cracked. "Do you even know how much debt this is?" I swallowed. "I'm handling it." "You're lying," she said, her voice breaking. "You've been lying this whole time." The room spun. This was the moment I had feared for months. My carefully constructed life, my successful persona, exposed in front of the one person I loved. The third twist came even faster. 2 weeks later, Clara called me into her office again. "Something's off with the client numbers," she said. "I need you to explain this before Friday." My stomach dropped. If I got caught, not only would my career be over, but my entire financial situation would be laid bare. And Rachel, she might never trust me again. I spent that night in a daze, running scenarios in my head. Every plan seemed worse than the last. I couldn't go back. I couldn't confess. And I couldn't fix it without risking everything. In the end, I made the only choice I could think of: manipulate one more report. One last time. If this worked, I'd have enough time to cover everything up. It worked, at first. Clara didn't notice the discrepancy. But then the client called. Their CFO had noticed the numbers. He wanted a full reconciliation. I was trapped. Rachel confronted me again that same week. I know something else is happening, she said. Her voice was soft but firm. I just don't know what. I'm just stressed, I said, though my mouth was dry. You're not just stressed, she said, stepping closer. You're scared. Something's wrong, and I deserve to know what it is. I looked away. My hands shook. You can't keep hiding everything, she said. I can feel it, and I don't think I can keep pretending I don't see it. And for the first time, I understood the truth. My secret wasn't just about money. It was about trust. And I was losing it. The crisis peaked the next day. Clara summoned me to her office again. I've escalated the issue to accounting, she said. They're auditing all the accounts you've touched. I sat there, frozen. Sweat ran down my back. You have until tomorrow morning to fix it, she said. I nodded. I left the office and got in my car, shaking so badly I could barely grip the wheel. My mind raced. If I failed, I could lose Rachel, my job, my apartment, maybe even face legal consequences. I realized something terrifying. My entire life had been built on lies. And now, the house of cards was collapsing. By that night, I made a desperate choice. I transferred money between accounts, forged a few approvals, and tried to patch the numbers together. It felt like walking a tightrope over a pit of fire. One misstep and I'd fall. By 2 a.m., I was exhausted, trembling, but the reports looked acceptable, at least on the surface. I collapsed on the couch. My phone buzzed. Rachel, can you talk? I didn't respond. I couldn't. Not yet. I wasn't ready to admit that I was a liar. That I had risked everything. The next morning, the unthinkable happened. The client called back, happy. They're satisfied, Clara said, smiling, though I could see the tension behind her eyes. Relief washed over me, until I realized what I had done to keep the lie alive. I had crossed a line. Something I swore I'd never do. Something that could land me in serious trouble if discovered. And Rachel, she was still in the dark. For the first time, I understood what it truly meant to live in fear. Because now, it wasn't just about money. It was about survival. The morning after the audit scare, I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing incessantly. Rachel, we need to talk. Now. My stomach dropped. I knew this wasn't about small talk. It was about the envelope she had found weeks ago. The one I thought I'd buried under lies and half-truths. I drove over to her apartment in silence, gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. My mind raced through 1,000 ways to explain myself. All of them sounded weak, pathetic, or worse, criminal. When I stepped inside, Rachel was sitting at the kitchen table, arms crossed, eyes red from crying. I can't do this anymore, she said before I could speak. I feel like I don't even know who you are. I swallowed hard. Rachel, you lied to me. About your job, your money, everything. I've been living with someone who isn't real. Her words hit me harder than any financial collapse ever could. The truth, the raw truth, was finally out. I did it to protect you, I said, my voice trembling. I didn't want you to worry. I thought I could fix it before it got this bad. Protect me? She asked, incredulous. You put us both in danger. You could have gone to jail. I looked down, unable to meet her gaze. She was right. Every desperate step I had taken, the falsifying of reports, the last-minute manipulations, the hidden debts, was a gamble that could have destroyed not just me, but her too. The first major confrontation ended in silence. She didn't leave, but she didn't forgive me either. The tension between us was like a storm ready to break. For the next week, I barely spoke to her. I focused on work, trying to stabilize my financial mess. But inside, I was crumbling. Then came twist number 4, the one I hadn't seen coming. Clara called me into her office again. My heart sank. I just spoke with the client, she said, voice calm but cold. They suspect discrepancies in multiple reports. We're going to have an external audit, I froze. My stomach dropped like a stone into a black void. "You mean?" I whispered. "Yes. And if they find anything, the company will have no choice but to report it." The words hit me like lightning. Jail. Public humiliation. Complete ruin. I staggered out of the office, head spinning. Everything I had worked for, everything I had hidden, was about to explode. That night, I sat alone in my apartment. Credit card statements, loan papers, and bank notifications spread across the table like a battlefield map. I had to make a choice. I could run. Leave town, leave Rachel, leave everything behind. But the thought of abandoning her, the one person I loved, made me feel like I was dying from the inside. Or, I could confess. Full transparency. Risk Rachel's wrath, the legal consequences, and the humiliation. I realized I had no choice. The lie had grown too big, and the cost of hiding it any longer was too high. The next morning, I walked to Rachel's apartment, hands shaking. "I need to tell you everything," I said before she could speak. I laid it all out: the layoffs, the debt, the credit cards, the loan from the sketchy lender, the manipulations at Vertex. Every lie, every desperate measure, every terrifying moment. Rachel listened silently. Her face was pale, and her hands were clenched tightly in her lap. When I finished, the apartment was quiet. Finally, she spoke. "You could have destroyed everything," she said softly. "But you didn't." "Wait, what?" I asked, confused. "You didn't run. You didn't hide it from me completely. You told me now, when it mattered. I hate the lies, but I see the fear, the desperation, and I also see that you're trying to make it right." Tears ran down her cheeks. "I'm scared too. But we'll figure it out, together, if you want me to." And in that moment, I felt a weight lift. Not all of it. Financial ruin didn't disappear, but the burden of isolation, the crushing loneliness of carrying lies alone, lifted. I faced the external audit. I confessed to the discrepancies. The company was furious, but because I cooperated fully, I avoided criminal charges. They demoted me and docked a month's pay, but I kept my job. I set up a strict budget, consolidated debt, and even started a small side hustle to accelerate repayment. Slowly, I began climbing out of the pit I had dug. Rachel stayed. But things were different. Trust, once broken, is never fully restored. We had to rebuild, brick by brick, conversation by conversation, honesty by honesty. The final twist came months later. One evening, Rachel surprised me with a small envelope. Inside was a note. "You can't change the past, but you can decide the future. I still believe in us, if you do too." Alongside the note was a small stack of cash. She had saved it for emergencies, something she had kept hidden from me. I realized something. The irony was beautiful. We both had been keeping secrets to protect each other, in different ways. I hugged her, feeling the weight of every lie, every mistake, and every fear dissolve slightly. We weren't perfect. Nothing about this was perfect. But we were honest now, and that made all the difference. I never forgot the lessons of those months. Secrets can protect or destroy. Fear is a powerful motivator, but it's also a prison. Love isn't about living in illusions, it's about facing the hard truths together. And sometimes, the biggest act of courage isn't paying a bill or fixing an audit. It's confessing the truth to someone who trusts you enough to stay. Months later, I sat in my small, modest apartment, staring at the now manageable stack of bills. The fear that had consumed me for so long was still there, but it was quieter, less suffocating. Rachel walked in, smiling, holding 2 mugs of coffee. "I thought we could celebrate small victories," she said. I smiled back, realizing something important. I had survived the lies, the fear, the almost catastrophe. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Because freedom isn't about money. It's about honesty. And I had finally earned it.